Financial advice often centers on the idea that time is your best friend. Start small, wait long, and the math does the heavy lifting. Albert Einstein referred to compounding as a powerful force. Yet, despite the mathematical certainty, millions of investors experience almost no meaningful wealth growth over their entire lives. This gap exists because of a specific intuitive leap. We assume that if two people earn slightly different returns, the final outcome over a lifetime will stay relatively similar. To test that, we can look at two portfolios starting with 1 million rupees. No additional contributions will be made. Investor A earns 6% annually, while Investor B earns 9%. This setup serves as the ultimate test of human intuition against mathematical reality, highlighting why so many people misjudge their financial path. 5 years into the simulation, Investor A has grown to about 1.34 million. Investor B has reached roughly 1.54 million. A 200,000 rupee difference feels trivial after 5 years of waiting. Because our brains are geared for linear progress, we look at this early stage and assume the 3% difference is a minor detail. This perceived insignificance validates our bad intuition. It leads many investors to abandon their strategy long before the exponential growth phase actually begins. By year 20, the gap is visible. Investor A has 3.21 million, while B reaches 5.61 million. At the 40-year mark, a math is undeniable. A ends with 10.28 million. B explodes to 31.41 million, creating a 21 million rupee divide. This explosion happens because the interest generates more interest, creating a snowball effect where tiny percentage points balloon over time. Seeing this often leads to a new hypothesis, that wealth creation is strictly a matter of chasing the highest possible annual return. Richard Thaler's work in behavioral economics suggests otherwise. He argues that human psychology frequently destroys the advantages that mathematics provides. If we introduce human emotion into Investor B's strategy, specifically panic selling or market timing mistakes, we see the model break. We'll simulate a 20% drawdown every 10 years due to emotional exits. With these emotional interruptions, Investor B's final wealth drops from 31 million down to 24 million. The high average return on paper failed to translate into wealth because behavioral interference stopped the compounding cycle at the worst possible times. Achieving the highest theoretical return does not guarantee the highest wealth if the investor cannot stay in the system. This suggests that compounding is less about peak returns and more about emotional discipline. We can test this with Investor C, who earns a modest but stable 7%. After 40 years, Investor C reaches nearly 15 million rupees. By remaining consistent and avoiding panic, they outperformed Investor A and closed the gap with Investor B. Uninterrupted consistency acts as the primary fuel for exponential growth. It provides a shield against market noise that higher return, higher volatility strategies lack. The system of compounding punishes behavioral inconsistency far more severely than it rewards occasional spikes in profit. Nassim Taleb explores the idea of fragility, the tendency for systems that appear strong to shatter under pressure. A high-return strategy dependent on perfect human behavior is fundamentally fragile. When volatility hits, the human element becomes the point of failure. Ultimately, a stable, disciplined strategy survives by design. By ignoring emotional shocks, it avoids the hidden risks that cause more aggressive portfolios to underperform over the long run. Compounding functions as a behavioral system. Its success is governed by patience and risk control rather than the specific variables in a mathematical formula. This explains why passive index investing and systematic investment plans often outperform actively traded portfolios. They remove the emotional triggers that interrupt the cycle. The frantic environment of a trading floor offers a stark contrast to the quiet power of a long-term, set-it-and-forget-it philosophy. Real, lasting growth requires surviving the unexpected storms without uprooting the tree every time the wind picks up. Survival is the ultimate edge in wealth creation. Lasting through the market volatility allows compounding to work uninterrupted.